Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
They're polite. I mean, they just take the time for you.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
I like the Angels for what they've done for me.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching. Thanks as always to the producer of our series and behind the camera, Jeff Durall. We're in the principal's office again. It seems to be a frequent place for Jeff and me to wind up for some reason at Hayes High School with Principal Marty Straub as we look at the new year at Hayes High with Principal Straub. And of course, we start the new year with projected enrollment at 20th day enrollment. What are you seeing, Marty?
We're just short of the 800 mark this year, Mike. We had quite a few more kids move in than we typically see, but it's a nice trend for us. We have plenty of room here right now for the kids, and we're glad to see those numbers go up. We always have some transfers out, but we're probably 30 to the good on the plus ratio this year.
Big freshman class coming?
Yes, sir. A pretty big class. It's well over 200, but next year's class we understand is probably closer to 230, 240. So we'll again see some increase next year, and we'll probably have some staffing conversations with the superintendent to meet those needs.
Well, now, Marty, talk about the funding and the per pupil funding in the original formula for school funding was based on per pupil. Now it's a block grant thing. How's that impacted?
Well, Mike, this is the second year of a 2-year block program. In the past, schools received base state aid per pupil based on the enrollment every year. Basically, last year, the governor and the legislature said we really need to redo the entire finance program. And in the meantime, give us a couple years to do that. So they based last year's funding and this year's funding on the 3-year ago funding. So basically for 2 years, actually for 3 years, we'll be having the same base state aid per pupil from the state of Kansas. That isn't a harmful thing if your population goes down necessarily. If your population goes up, which we're experiencing in USD 49, it does become more of an issue because we have more kids to educate, and it costs more to educate more kids. But that's basically what the legislature and our governor said last 2 sessions ago.
And that's also a push on facilities too, isn't it, for accommodating those extra students?
Yes, sir. You know, Hayes High School was built for about 1,000 students, so we really have good classroom space right now. But I do know the middle school and the elementary, and soon to be Hayes High School, is going to be pushed again for space with the increased population as they get older in our system and come to Hayes High.
Marty, what are patrons going to see in physical changes when they come to the events at Hayes High this year? You
know, we really believe that in spite of all the infrastructure issues we might have behind the walls in the bathrooms or the air conditioning leaking on a daily basis, we have some units that are going out this year. A little bit difficult. But what you will see is that we take pride in our facilities nonetheless. We try to take care of the parking lot as best we can. Rusty Lindsay, our building and maintenance head, really did a nice job of supervising some improvements out there again. We've painted our sidewalk poles. We have redone our gym floor, just the top coat. Our maintenance men actually were trained in doing that and saves us thousands of dollars every year in doing it ourselves. We put some paint on some things, and we are going to put some American flags up this Friday for a program we're having, and we think it's important for our kids. I know many people would say, well, if you just let things go, that people would vote for the bond issue. I think just the opposite is true. It's our responsibility to take good care of the building that we have, and we're proud of it. There are some infrastructure needs, especially with our HVAC system and our parking lot and those kind of things.
Which we should reemphasize leaks on a daily basis then, Marty.
Yes, sir.
I love the entryway to Hayes High, though, that beautiful bench area they have with the Hayes High emblem there in the concrete area. It's just a really nice, attractive entrance to the building.
Well, thank you. Actually, some FFA students, we changed the color schema on the beam, the concrete beam over our entrance, and went to maroon and white, and it really does show off our entrance a lot more, and the kids are very proud of their work.
Well, now, what about programs and events coming for the new year, Marty?
Oh gosh, you know, this Friday we're having this is the 15th year of 9/11, Mike. It's unbelievable. My oldest daughter was a freshman here, and I remember that day very vividly. This is the first freshman class that wasn't born during that time, and we're going to take some time to see what the changes have been in society with regard to individual rights and liberties and some of those things that we really had to compromise on because of that terrorist attack. But our main focus on Friday's assembly will be giving thanks and appreciation to the first responders. We'll have representatives from the Hayes Police Department, Sheriff, EMS, military, as well as Sue Boulder will be here representing state government, Eber Phelps representing local government as well. So we think it's important that our kids take some time. We'll just extend our academy just a little bit and really spend some time thanking those folks for all the work that they do for us each and every day. We can be critical of them, but ultimately when we need help, they run to the fire. They run to the fight, not from the fire or from the fight. And without them, we aren't nearly as good society. We want them to know that we appreciate that.
Tell me about Oktoberfest and Homecoming, some of those events that come up for the first time in memory, I think, Marty. This year, they're both in the same weekend.
You know, I've taken one or two calls about that, Mike, and and many of those calls kind of start like, do you realize that that's the weekend of Oktoberfest? Yes, we do. When we share facilities with TMP and Fort Hays, and we're the guest of Fort Hays State, we really have to make those accommodations whenever necessary, and that was what we did this year. We've oftentimes had home games during Oktoberfest weekend, but this is the first time that we'll have homecoming. I'm really kind of excited about it. I think our attendance is going to be better because we have many Hays High grads that will choose between Oktoberfest or Hays High homecoming and vice versa. I think both will be better attended. The biggest issue that we have, quite honestly, is what we will do with a parade. We've already met with Don Scheibler, Chief of Police, and have a preliminary plan, and he's bringing his lead street officer in very soon, and we'll finalize those plans. We feel it can be managed, but we have received a few calls, and I think few people were surprised, and I won't be surprised to see a better turnout for both high school and college grads.
I think you're onto something there for sure. Tell me about, I know the bond issue which was recently proposed included some improvements for Hays High. Talk about the importance of a bond passage and what that would mean for the needs, for the safety of Hays High School, Marty.
The effects of on Hays High School, I guess if I were to list those in priority in my own mind, not necessarily everybody's mind, but the auditorium is a real need for our district and community. Some of the safety issues we get into down at 12th Street Auditorium, and even electrical issues, running a hole through the back wall to run cables through with a diesel generator. Those are real issues. They're not made up. It's truthful. We got some infrastructure needs down there as well. It's a little bit older than Hays High School, but it sure would be nice to have an auditorium. The other thing that we would have benefited from with the bond issue is our HVAC system. I heard the superintendent say a couple board meetings ago, approximately a $3 million project. Every day that you walk down our halls at this time of year, you're finding ceiling tiles out. We had another area spring a leak over the weekend, just this weekend. We'll do what we can, but it's a huge system that really needs replaced, not just repaired. The third item that we had is a competition gym. Our gym seats about 1,300 people. The state of Kansas with 4A and 5A schools would ask that we have a competitive environment that would seat approximately $2,000. So those are some improvements. And finally, even before the gym, would be a new tech area to update those facilities that allow more production type activity classes for our kids instead of the smaller projects. They need to be skill based, but we can have those skills benefit the community too. So those are some of the benefits that Hays High School would have. But you know, the voters spoke, and again, I still say that it's our responsibility to do as best we can with what we have. and make those kids proud of their school. And it's very interesting, Mike, when you put up a sign, or we put up Hayes High School from commercial signs. The class of 2016 paid for that, and they the kids notice. The kids really notice. You put in a new water fountain with a bottle filling station. The kids notice. It's really interesting that our kids really do notice and are thankful and make comments. They've written articles in our newspaper about those small improvements. I just can't imagine how thankful they would be if we would even do more for them.
And I've noticed too that we get feedback from the kids who visit other schools in sports events and debates and other travels that they make, and they're envious, I think, of some of the facilities that are offered in some of the other schools.
I think that generally kids have seen that maybe some of our facilities have fallen behind, are appreciative of the care we take with our facilities, but certainly if you travel any WAC school, it's very obvious that we're due for some bigger projects.
Now, I know that there's one thing that the principal is very proud of, and that's the ACT scores.
Well, I hope I am usually, and this year actually we are, Mike. It was the class of 2016. We really had a high participation rate with the ACT. The state of Kansas is one of the highest participating states in the country, 74% this year. Our school, Hayes High School, had 85% of its students take the assessment, and whenever you increase the population, taking a test, usually scores go down, and ours did just the opposite, Mike. We are enjoying a 23-year high on our composite ACT test. We had many state scholars last year, and we really are kind of throwing that out to this year's senior class as a challenge. We know that we will have a National Merit Scholar again this year, which we're very proud of. It's about 1% of 1%, and it's just very, very difficult to do that year after year, but very proud of the kids and their effort. I think when we emphasize things with the kids, they listen, and they trust that we know what we're talking about. There's millions of dollars that can be earned in scholarship from our kids, and we need to help them do that as much as possible. So we're very proud of a 23-year high on the composites. I hope I can say next year I hope I can say the highest in 24 years.
We'll see what happens next year when we visit. Marty, if you would, in our last couple of minutes, talk to parents about the parental involvement, something that I know you're certainly strong on, and how parents can be involved with their kids in the new school year at Hayes High.
Oh gosh, everything from being supportive of the FFA program and sponsoring trips with Mr. Viner to judging for debate and forensics, helping do fundraisers for the different music programs. We have 3 booster groups for the fine arts. We have our academic booster club. Last week, our first meeting took place, and it was an awesome attendance. We had over 30 parents there that night, most women, but not all women. So dads are really informed and interested in that. To recognize academics of our kids is very, very important. More than anything, that's why we exist here. But you can and get yourself involved with the athletic booster club as well. The site council, where I'm meeting with that group of about 25 parents this Wednesday. There are any number of ways you can get involved in their school. And bottom line is, I've raised kids, I can speak from experience, and you can too, Mike. They might say they don't want you around, but they notice when you're not. And they notice those parents that are. And I'd really strongly encourage parents to absolutely stay engaged with your kids, connect with your kids. The theme for this year is connect and connection. It's a given that we're going to use digital technology to teach and learn at a Hayes High School. We've invested a lot of time, effort, training, and money in that. But it's also very important that we engage and connect with kids personally. If you don't know your students and how they learn and what their interests are, it's very difficult to connect with them. So that's my challenge to our teachers, and that's really our challenge to our kids too. Connect to a group, connect to something that we have here offered at Hayes High School, and you'll enjoy your high school a lot more and honestly be more successful.
And they do it very well at Hayes High.
Thank you, sir.
Staff as well as students and teachers.
Yes, sir.
From the principal's office at Hayes High School, Principal Marty Straub, our Community Connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
And the Angel Care nurse comes to see me once a week.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Angel Care has helped to stay home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.